In the late 20th century, there was what we call the low-fat craze, where a little bit of research at the time seemed to suggest that having high fat in your diet was unhealthy. And so from that point on, there was numerous companies that took advantage of this and started to market low-fat products like milk and yogurt and cheese. And it was an easy one to sell because if you tell someone that if you have less fat in your diet, i.e. if you buy my low-fat yogurt, that you're going to put on less fat and therefore less weight, it's an easy one to believe. Fortunately, however, we've moved on from that, and lots of research now is making it much more clear that this is not the case. So in this video, I want to give my top 4 reasons why the low-fat diet is not a healthy diet, and stick to the end to find out what I believe is the much better diet for not only losing weight, but a diet that's much more healthy. Let's get started. Hello, my name is Dr. Steven Hulme. I'm a chiropractor currently based in the Oxfordshire area, and in this video I want to talk about the low-fat diet. And the more that I've looked into this type of diet, the more that I can see that it does not make sense that we try to be more healthy by reducing our fat. And it also doesn't make sense that by having low fat, we're going to lose weight. Although that does happen and can happen, there are much better diets out there to be able to do that, and without having to sacrifice a lot of the things that come with it. So the first thing that I want to say that is very obvious straight off the bat that a lot of people don't necessarily think about is that when you take away fat, you don't just take away that macronutrient, you also take away the fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K are all fat-soluble vitamins, and they can only exist in fat. And therefore, if you have a product and the fat has been artificially taken away, you're not just taking away that fat, but you're also taking away the nutrients that go with it. And so it would make sense then if you start swapping your foods to low fat foods, particularly if they've been processed artificially, you're going to start getting less of the nutrients. So starting with number 1, fat has an important role in brain health, particularly in the form of cholesterol. And therefore, if you're reducing this, you have a risk of reducing your brain health. There's been research that has shown that those that have been on a low-fat diet did worse on a cognitive test than those that were on a high diet, and therefore a low-fat diet has been shown to contribute to less concentration, poorer judgment, and depressive symptoms that are all related to brain health. Number 2, and this is probably going to be the most surprising one, low-fat diet has increased risk of cardiovascular disease. So that's heart attacks, that's strokes, anginas, etc. For many years, it's been thought that high fat was the culprit and the blame of cardiovascular disease. But more and more, we're seeing how this is actually not the case. There's been lots of research that has shown that high-fat diets have a decrease of cardiovascular events. There was one that was done in 2018 that looked at the prevention of cardiovascular disease with a Mediterranean diet. And they basically compared those that were on the high-fat Mediterranean diet compared to low-fat diets, and they found that those that were on the Mediterranean diet, so high-fat, were at a much lesser risk of cardiovascular events. There was another study here that was done in 2011 that showed a low prevalence of chronic disease in populations consuming monounsaturated fatty acid rich Mediterranean diets. And since then, the national dietary guidelines are increasingly recommending diets that are high in monounsaturated fatty acids. The evidence suggesting that saturated fats are causing cardiovascular events is actually very, very weak. And they're now starting to think that diets that are high in inflammation, so i.e. diets that are high in sugars and carbs, are actually more responsible for cardiovascular events compared to high-fat diets. Number 3, fats have an important and vital role in balancing your hormones, which suggests that if you have a low-fat diet, you're not going to be controlling your hormones as well. And there was actually a study in 2007 that looked at diets that were high in fat and diets that were low in fat and compared infertility risk. And they found that those that were taking a low fat diet had a much higher risk of infertility compared to those that had higher fat. And number 4, high fat diets are actually much better for losing weight. And there's many reasons for this. One of the reasons is that a high fat diet has much better satiety, i.e. you feel full and less hungry after eating, compared to diets that are low in fat. There was a study done in 2012 that compared 3 types of diets. They looked at a low fat diet, they looked at a high fat diet, and then they looked at a diet that was in between. And they found that the high fat diet and low carbs had a much higher resting energy expenditure than all of the other diets, which shows that the high fat diet is better for losing weight. And this also makes sense. I mean, with the keto diet that is much more popular these days, the basis of the keto diet is that you eliminate the carbs and sugars from your diet and you increase the fats to a point that the body has to rely on converting fat for energy. So if you get rid of all your sugars in your body, then it has to use the fat. So it's forced to now burn fat. And this has been shown to be a very effective way for losing weight. And that brings me on to what is the best diet for losing weight. And I do believe it is a diet that's high in fat and low in sugars and carbs. It makes a lot of sense that if you restrict your sugars and carbs, you're going to force the body to have to burn the fat, and therefore you're going to lose weight, but you're also not going to just lose weight, you're going to maintain a healthy diet because you've got a lot of fats that are high in nutrients. Sugars are a lot more simple than fats, and you don't tend to store vitamins or minerals in your sugars, but you do in your fats. And so you don't just want to lose weight, you also want to maintain your health. And so that concludes this video. I hope that has been interesting, and I'm sure we have a lot of comments. I'm sure there's going to be many people that agree and many people that don't agree. I know this can be a bit of a divisive topic, so please do put any comments in below this video, and I'll be happy to answer them and we can have a bit of a discussion around this. If you want to hear more about the low fat industry, then I did a video a couple of years ago comparing whole milk and skimmed milk, and I talked more about the low fat industry there, so you can check that video out after this one. Like always, if you enjoy this type of content, I post videos at least once a week, so please do hit that subscribe button, and if you hit the notification bell, then you will get a notification when my videos come out, and so you won't miss them. And lastly, I have also just opened up a membership scheme. So if you are interested, you can now become a member of my channel. And there are 3 main perks to becoming a member. The first one is that I get a lot of comments and I can't always reply to them all, although I do my best. And it's becoming increasingly harder to answer all the comments. If you become a member, I can guarantee that every single one of your comments will be answered. The second benefit is that you'll get early releases of my videos. And the third benefit is that you'll get regular updates behind the scenes. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.